Yes. So thanks, guys, for joining. And let's start. Let's understand the core structure. This would be to make you understand how could I keep it? The Terraform, this introduction. But yes, this Terraform course would be more brief. It would help in certification. So what does it help? It helps in certification. So when you're planning to do any Terraform certification, because there's one Terraform certification in the market, and if you are actually there are not many people who have got certified on it, and it is around 9K something, and you can actually get certified from Terraform, and it is one of the easiest certifications. And the concepts, the topics which would be covered here. Uh, in this course would be first 2 weeks we primarily focus on covering the certification point of view, and then the next 2 weeks we focus on the scenarios. So whatever you could find in YouTube, I have posted a very lengthy uh, scenario which we tried deploying an entire infrastructure, production mimic infrastructure using Terraform. So other than that, I would also, other than if you would have any questions on that, I could actually cover some questions on that scenario. But other than that scenario, here we will be focusing on uh, scenarios, one related to Terraform modules, similar structure. So I'm not going to create a sample POC like the way we say create something and do something. No, we are going to utilize modules concept. I'm going to deploy a, a, at least some couple of 10 different resource types in Azure. This course will be primarily on Terraform on Azure, uh, not on AWS or GCP. And so one scenario you have already in YouTube that has, uh, I think that's around some 4, 5, 6 hours, 7 hours of. It's a bigger scenario. I think it's more than that, but you can have a look at it and understand how that flow goes. So even that is like a very good one. It's 4, 5 hours, and I'm deployed like considering some set of virtual machines for net with an app gateway and application gateway, and then load balancer on a set of machines, then again a database internal load balancer, configuring them in VNet, setting up the update management, setting up the bash and service. So the lot of parameters like alerts, configuring alerts. So everything can be done with Terraform, and I showed that there how things works with it. Now in this will be also the same, a bit of similar scenario, but will be a different architecture, and but primarily focused on, it's not about building an architecture, how we utilize modules to the core and make things happen. And the other one which I could cover here is Terraform on cloud. So we will deploy the infrastructure using Terraform on cloud. So there's Terraform cloud. Uh, we'll talk on that. So, so one of the person has asked me, one of the participant asked me, what is the link uh, on that scenario? This is the one. Copy link, and I'm going to share that to you in the chat. You can find a chat section. So this is there are a couple of videos on this, but my point is the architecture would be so this is a bit of architecture, and then there will be the bigger one, okay, where we try to achieve that feat here. So this is bit interesting, but there is more to it. I've completed it, but I feel there is just a 70% of scenario has been completed, 80%. But there are many things in that you have to play with, and I think yeah, I covered backup, I covered I didn't cover site recovery, I covered automation account. I believe yeah, I covered automation account, I covered policy, I covered monitor, I covered Azure DNS probably, yeah. Yeah, most of it, I think, I believe I covered it. Yeah, there is partly probably an 85% or 15% or something effective thing should be left out. But yes, you can actually refer. So this is one of the scenario which you can invest time in, and you can come back and ask me questions on that. But this will extensively how we use Terraform modules. I also bring one of the scenario which we focus on Terraform workspace. Uh, so we will use Terraform workspace and how we do things. Now we use Terraform on Azure DevOps. I would keep this as the line for Terraform modules. Yeah, I go the second part to that and then this one. So when we talk about scenario, they will be very lengthy the way you have seen right now. They will be a bit lengthier and all that. So definitely they can't be covered in one session. This could go for 3 sessions, and this could go for 3 sessions, yeah. Because I have to show you how, in terms of Git, how these scenarios would be you encounter in your organization. And this could go for 2 sessions, and workspace will go for 3 sessions. If you see here, three to 4 sessions, I believe. So on a rough figure, you have 12 sessions here, that is 2 weeks, and you have from certification point of view. So if you refer Terraform certification, there are some concepts involved in it, and that's what we will try to cover. And what could that be? Could you give me any idea on that? Yes, I'll do that. So in certification, we go for making you understand how do we do a Terraform installation. And then we go with what IDE. See, if I'm choosing IDE, I recommend Microsoft Visual Studio VS Code because this is one of the most used tool in the market, and so I'm preferring the IDE as one solution. And then how do you authenticate to cloud using and deploy resources using Terraform, and then understanding some primary keywords in Terraform. So resources, providers, and one of the basic commands which you can ever see in Terraform. So whenever you go through any YouTube videos, you will be getting these things, right? Terraform init, plan, apply, and destroy. Then I would go with making you understand Terraform state file. Once these are done, we go with understanding, making you understand Terraform uh, concepts, I could say. So when I say Terraform concepts, we try understanding. So this is what you mostly see it in YouTube. So we cover that one here. And then we go into a bit more stretching on some aspects like attributes. So we give in Terraform some attributes. We give variables. We give when you go for variables, we assign some value to it, that is data type. So what type of data types are available in Terraform? Then we cover conditions, loops, we cover some local, we'll cover some functions, we cover module, yeah, and we cover locals, we cover this one. So what else is there? So some more things which you can actually go for is data and output. So in functions modules, you can have one more key important after that is dynamic. There are dynamic blocks which are very powerful, and before dynamic blocks, I prefer to use semantics. Talk about semantics. These are all some key concepts in Terraform when you really wanted to understand how Terraform behaves and how we should respond to how you can respond to the debugging and all that. So we look at this. We have Splat. That could be a bigger one, so I'll prefer keeping it here. Splat expressions. No, other than this workspace. Let me keep it here itself. Understanding Terraform workspace because it's so huge. I can't see Terraform when we start talking and going and doing things. There are a lot of things which you can do. Currently, market is like every bigger MNC companies when they're trying to use what do you say, the Terraform, there is a huge thing to it, and every Terraform code in every organization is way different. But there are primary concepts through which you can go and deal it. Trust me, because I've seen almost like 5 Terraform different styles. Some people use CAF modules for Terraform. So just playing with variables, they're going to deploy the infrastructure. They're going not to use resources or anything as such. They are like bit different. And if you talk about some organizations use Terraform modules, so they build their own modules and they deploy it. When I spoke about in the previous scenario, CAF modules, like it's already existing in the market and just use that one. And some organizations have extensively work on Terraform Cloud. Some organizations use one script for deploying for non-prod, prod, and dev. Some scripts will be like designed that they can go for a multi-cloud. And here and the complexity of the script basically varies based on the situations we wanted to encounter. In the scenario which I've shown in the YouTube, when you really wanted to if you see that scenario, I was bringing a lot of other services in Azure to deploy a basic VM and all that. But when we talk about deploying that content, right, different types and integrating that kind of different Azure services with one specific service like app service, AKS, Azure Kubernetes service, and all that, it's going to be a bit more complicated and challenging because we have to write a script which can go and send a specific API request, and every organization have its own way of integration and way of implement utilizing the services in Azure. And because of that, the scenarios would be different, and finding a code for it is kind of a bit tough. But yes, you can find relevant stuff. And similarly, there are some uh, what do you say, things which you can't do with Terraform, and those things can be done using ARM. So if I have a time, we will cover all deploying Terraform using ARM templates too. Yes, so I think this were about Terraform concepts, but now comes understanding Terraform commands. So init, fmt, I'm going for the basic ones. So there are more to it, but I'm just giving the basic ones. If you wanted what exactly are the commands which we have, then there are a lot of commands. So these are all the commands which you have in, and you need to really know how that works. So yeah, I know that I explained init, plan, and all that. Trust me, there is more to it. When we talk about, suppose, Terraform init. Now let's understand. Just probably if you could have seen any market scenarios, you would have a lot of other things. But if you can see here, there are just they'll run Terraform in it, but there are more commands to it, and there is a reason for it. And we might end up when we extensively use Terraform, and we are trying to develop some any POCs of it. It is more tough in terms of doing all this. So that's where these things come in. So Terraform validate, FMT. I will address not every argument. It's going to be very tough, but yes, the primary ones in each of it to make you understand the main functionality of that command. Then plan. We will try to talk about plan here. We will try to talk about apply. We'll talk about destroy. We'll talk about taint and untaint. We will talk about import. So these are commands. Terraform import, Terraform taint, Terraform destroy, Terraform apply. So it's kind of those things. So refresh, we have to talk about refresh. We have to talk about state, Terraform show. We have Terraform output. We have Terraform console. Terraform when you wanted to use what do you say? Terraform registry and cloud. We go for Terraform login and all that. When we have importantly one more concepts which we have in that is the workspace. Yeah, I covered show. So I believe I covered most of the commands. So there are more to it. Terraform graph, if I see, yeah, there is Terraform graph get. But yes, when we talk about certification, I feel that we are going way deeper and understanding it. There should be a time limit too, which should be satisfying in it. But yes, after understanding this, there are a bit more core concepts involved in it, and that's where we'll talk about it. So, provisioners, we'll talk about Terraform modules, we would talk about Terraform workspaces. So, did I cover workspace here? So, what you will talk in Terraform workspace? I would talk about the application, the usage of workspace in a broader language. This here, I was trying to talk about the functionality of it. And when we talk Terraform workspace command, what will be the things which can happen out of it? But talking about Terraform workspace, that we have a bigger, more uh, things to be in a bigger. When we talk about scenarios, how would we take what is the place of workspace here and all that? So that's one thing which we have to look at it. And next one is understanding the remote backend state. So so these are like the main primary concepts when you wanted to know do any Terraform certification. And then every cloud, most of the if you are already using Terraform, your organization is using Terraform Enterprise as such, then you need to understand how does a cloud work and all that. So what is Terraform Enterprise? Just like Azure DevOps and all that. So you deploy when you have lot of Terraform engineers. So usually you see developers who .NET code some 50 programmers and all that. But when the infrastructure is so huge and they rely on desired state configuration, uh, managing the desired state of all that using a Terraform state file, then I could say you might end up seeing some 50 Terraform engineers who work. They divide as this is a compute category, this is a networking team, this is a storage team and all that. So then it has a bigger payroll play in that, and they prefer that point of time manage things using cloud because cloud has an extensive features of Terraform Cloud as a service by Terraform itself. So we control things using Terraform Sentinel policy and all that. So there are more to it. It's just like a pipeline, it runs the following things. But yes, we can organizations which I've seen, like when I said that I've seen 5 different environments on Terraform. Uh, I could actually say that Azure DevOps is one of the most preferred tools. Well, I was seeing for a dev, specifically on deploying things on Azure. But if you're going with AWS or GCP, we have respectively other integration services. So even Terraform integrates with Jenkins or Terraform itself. When you're going, they can go for Terraform Cloud and all that. So the scenarios I already mentioned. So this could go for 2 sessions. So this is based on the time limit which we have. But yes, I would also try love to talk about 1 2 sessions about 1 to 2 sessions on the Terraform scenario in YouTube so that you would understand how that works. So to give you once again, I will talk about that specifically. If I copy the URL, paste it here. So, so this is one of the best scenarios which I can actually, because trust me, there is nothing at this point of time. We don't find, you are not finding this scenario in the market. So, if you really, uh, so this scenario is something very good in really understanding, play with assets, deploying resources using Terraform, and I definitely wanted to talk about that in the session in this one. But as it's a free content available from my this one, what do you say, from a YouTube channel, so I don't prefer to talk more about a free content here in the service. So this will actually broadly covers it, but if I go with what will be the time taken for all these things, so we cover the IDE and installation preferably by today or tomorrow based on how many, because this session is primarily focused on why should I learn Terraform, what are the key things which you might have in your mind. We can address all those, and then if I have a time, I will talk about how do I install Terraform and IDE, or otherwise I go with that tomorrow. So this, as there are too many concepts involved, and the crowd, I also have to understand the crowd's wavelength. So if people are how do I keep it, if people are logging people are trying to understand things a bit slower, I have to go it in a slower pace. That point of time I would not be in a situation to extend from the 25 hours of learning to 35 hours of learning, probably I'll extend it to 28 hours of learning. Now, that point of time, I have to skip some deeper scenarios because we might break down each concept and talk about it in a linear fashion. And that's what you previously would have seen if you ended up coming to my PowerShell sessions or anything. There will be deeper on it. But yes, my primary agenda will also be covering at least whatever I could actually write here. I wanted to really cover here at least 90% to 80% at least. If I really cover 80%, it's a very well deep dive course and all that. But if I'm able to at least cover, yeah, 80%, that's a good one. But I wanted to go for 95% and all that. Yes, 100% is an optimal one. And that depends on, so when I wanted to reach that from 80% above, I want your support in terms of attending the sessions and all that. And trust me, just like PowerShell, Terraform is equally is a practice-oriented course structure. It's a practice-oriented way of learning. Okay, Terraform. It's not like you attend any of the Azure Cloud or Azure DevOps or Jenkins, because whatever you could actually find at this point of time in the market, like other than .NET Code and all that, this might uh, go in what you say. You will feel that these are a bit more different from that. The reason is if you attend the course from like just an example point of view, if you try attending this kind of courses from phone, trust me, you are taking back will be very limited and you might end up losing the interest after some 10-15 sessions. It is not because of mine, okay, it's because of me or not making it interesting. It is because first 5, 6, 7 sessions it would be great with attending any course from anywhere, whoever it is. Even the Terraform guy who invented this stuff comes and tells it first 5 days it would be better. It's very good and easier to understand. Like if I start talking till here, you would really understand. And from here, if you are not understanding, it is because you lost the practice. You haven't practiced heavily from the things which I have mentioned. So the initial days, everyone would love to actually take the support from the trainer, and I would recommend you to bug me on that to help you in wherever you have been blocked. But there is an approach to bug me. I wanted to discuss that. So the approach is to make things easier for me also, because as many people would reach out here and all that, use snipping tool to send your doubts. So you have your code, you're trying to practice something and you're trying to run and you get an error and all that. Use snipping tool, send me exactly, point me exactly where you are not understanding, but send it very clearly and talk that I'm trying to release, I have two files and all that. So very important to make me understand what you're trying to do. There's one file, and this file is having this code, and you're not able to. This is a bit lengthier, like it is a 50 lines. Then send it as a text file to me, and then talk about a screenshot. Give me a context. Imagine that I am your client, and make me understand in a brief way what exactly are you looking for. Okay, how do so that I can really help you with it. If your question is not really clear, uh, let me not say a negation statement. If your question is very clear, you would really know how you can put that same basis when you can actually go and work in your company. So, or if your requirement, you can ask proper requirements and everything. So that's how. So please understand that one. And definitely, I will go wrong in the courses. I prefer to go wrong in the practice oriented stuff, the coding oriented stuff. The reason is if I come with a preconceived pro, way thought, so not preconceived, I'll predefined way of scenarios or some when I'm talking about. this concepts, this is not going to talk in a PPT way and all that. I literally will try to run Terraform FMT and all that. So when we do that, we might end up failing some things, but I would like to, how am I trying to debug a situation and come and explain you, will make you understand how really Terraform is behaving, and how am I trying to understand the behavior of a Terraform, and how am I trying to go and look into. So if I see, if you would have seen before my any sessions like Terraform, PowerShell or anything, I prefer to go to the documentation and start reading it, because yeah, it's fine all one day that I just open a notepad and I just keep typing. But where did I find this kind of concepts? You definitely have to understand that. And how did I come up with it? I'm a human too. I'm not a Terraform inventor, right? I'm also someone who, like you guys, who tried learning Terraform. So how did I come up with this kind of that these are the concepts which has there? And so I would love to show that to you guys. And why? The reason is I wanted to show how I learned Terraform, so that you can start doing things which I am also already aware of it. Might be you can, from that, after learning and keeping a lot of practice, you might invoke your own understanding and broader understanding to it, and definitely that would be there. I don't underestimate here anything, but please learn, get to know that because of I seen different environments in Terraform. I didn't work primarily, but I provided support. So I've dealt seeing different types of environments, and I've tried working on doing some job to it. So I'll talk about all those. So here, this should be going in terms of sessions. This should go around 3 sessions. I would like to keep it in 2 sessions. But this can go for one session, and one session, 2 sessions, 3, 4, yeah, 4 to 5 sessions. Yeah, this is something I feel a longer time is going to take. Innate FMT I'll try to cover, and then, or I'll cover FMT validate, mm, and few more things. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 1, 2. So many 32, 44. So we have 14. Under 14, I think around mm, 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 7 sessions. Yeah, or 8 sessions. Each one goes for bigger amount of time, but I'll try to wrap it up. There are, as we go in a concept oriented, there are bigger thing. We can go way deep, but as a trainer, I could actually give you some the best I could actually give in a time limit point of view. Because if we really talk about real training, like how did you understand about Terraform? Give me the same understanding. Try to keep it in the same understanding mode and all that. It should go for 3 months, because that huge is the content. I can actually talk about init itself like 3, 4 hours, but we can't really go for 3, 4 sessions, right, on init itself. But yes, I was primarily covering basic init, which you can see in YouTube. If you go for understanding, go to YouTube and try typing Terraform init, you will find couple of comments, a couple of videos. Now, I don't try to cover those. That's because you already have a free content there. What is the point of me talking about Terraform init and all that? But if you go for a, see, because there's a 4 minute session, and what would you cover in Terraform minute in 4 minutes? Some basic things. So that's what I'll cover there. But if you go with Terraform minute in a specific session, we have broader. So if you see Terraform minute, that's what I've showed you, right? When I run Terraform minute, and you've seen some more stuff. And there's a reason why this one. I wanted to make you understand about one specific command, how really big it is, and based on scenarios, things changes and all that. Here, when we talk about these things, so if you see here, 2, 3 sessions on this, 4 to 5 sessions on that. So 3 plus 5, 8, 8 plus 8, 16, 16 plus 4, 20 sessions are actually going on this. So because if I could actually scale down, go a bit faster, it will be like 2 plus 4, 7, that is 6 plus 7, 13, and 13 plus 4, 17 or 16. Then I would have more number of scenarios to talk about this thing. So that's the reason why I say that it definitely going to take more than 25 hours, and I love to take that one. But we also have to understand the wavelength of the team and how it is working on. Because people go for the reason you come to the course is end of the day you commit to it. So one of the things which you I want you to do is stop attending from phones. You're learning, trying to do this one because it will do a damage. You can understand what am I trying to talk because I'm breaking down, but the listening retention will be for only a period of time. Uh, this too, when you're trying to understand a specific concepts, that will be for a limited period of time of 2 days itself. But if you're really going to keep a basic practice on that, whatever I said, you try to practice it, then the retention should go for 2 weeks. And from there, if you go for applications and there some relevant concept of that is trying to come in the applications, then that goes for 1 2 3 more, 2 3 4 more, 3 2 3 weeks like that. And you try to revise the videos and everything. So every video is recorded and that would be shared on a Google Drive. So just give you an idea how I share. So when I share it to your, so I need Gmail account. So when I share it to your Gmail account, suppose when we're talking about PowerShell, suppose let's go to the PowerShell. So I have some good batches which I keep it in my drive and I share it. And so if you, I will share video. So how do you play video? If you're running it in your, you can run it in your, what do you say, phone and all that. Sometimes when you're trying to open things from your phone, you might and get errors. Not you get errors, it might be delayed. So that time you try using incognito to run it. And Drive, you can go to the shared with me folder. If you see here, there's shared with me, and that one you can say it. But every video which I share it, you will get a notification in your email, Gmail, saying that this video has been shared. So you can search in Drive saying Terraform 1. So I saved this. If I go here, I saved a file with the naming convention Terraform. This one open for so this. Sorry guys, I'm trying to open that. Okay, so there's some issue with it. Fine. My point is I open so we'll with have the same naming convention Terraform 1 hyphen intro. Terraform 2, that basic whatever concepts which I'm trying to cover, that's what you will see there. So this there is a way to explain and all that. So I'll come to that later on, but this is how you will see the core structure. So I will leave and one more things, few more things which I will have to say. Yes, in a week you will have 1 day holiday and mostly that will be Sunday. But this Sunday you will not have an holiday because we started right now. Going further from the next week, you will have holiday on Sunday. And if there is if people are preferring to have one specific day for any due to some festival and all that, during that can be considered, but majority of the votes in the group, because I'll create the group in the second day after the second session, after the payment has been completed, and whoever a majority votes for the majority team votes for having a holiday, then I go for it. And yes, postponing of the classes will happen only because in the past, because in the might I took a break couple of days previously, like in the month of November, December. I was not being consistent, but if I talk about from the mid of Jan and all that, I was being consistent. So postponing of the classes would not be happening in the past I took some from January mid say I started taking some completed by this now 5 batches I guess, and only one batch went inconsistent because of the unavailability of the people. But mostly I postponed only 3 times, 2 times, or lesser than that. Like if we talk about a PowerShell batch, I think I didn't postpone more than once a session or twice a session. So, and the postponing of session will happen when only one person is attending the course. Otherwise, even if two people attend the course, I will go ahead with that. And if postponing of session will happen only max for 3 times, and after that, if when no one attends, I'm going to take a video and I'm going to share that. So I don't recommend it because people urge to come to a gym when they pay for the trainer. So same way, you get a urge to come to the course when attend the course, and as I hit, if you're trying to talk to me, I I'll try to mentally harass you in terms of making you do a learning practice and all that. If you're not doing it, so when you only do, I'll do that activity of kind of pushing your limits only when you actually call me and talk to me. And yes, definitely, if the practice is not sufficient, I'm gonna humiliate you. So I'm an old school style guy. I trust me. You might consider me as one of the worst managers if things are not the way it is. My talks might be harsh. It's only to push you. It's nothing personal. It's nothing disrespectful. I don't care about your situation. I only care about your agenda and the goal, which and how much time it needs. So I won't be there for because the commitment only be there for 1 month. So I extend it for 1 2 weeks. After that 1 month to only to a level. So definitely, if you get hurt with my language and everything, don't take it personal. I don't mean it. I only mean with a good intention to proceed. So when I repeat it, the reason is because I will be bit harsh and I'll do that. So not in the terms of literally scolding. So I don't use instead of using bad word, I'll use a word which can hurt you. So so it's to only to push your levels. Okay, so be comfortable with it, and if even it is not there, you can let me know so that I will not be there to push you a lot, but I will be there for assisting. So any questions you have, you can ping me there, and I will assist you. But anything more than that, yes, it goes as I discussed. The payment would be different. So I definitely keep some good amount of in hours in an individual, but there's a limit in this keeping all this in mind. So that's final. So I'll leave the dais for you guys to ask any questions. I can unmute yourself. You can ask me any questions or any questions you can post it in the chat section. And during the recordings, I usually prefer while because this is fine. This is an open interactive session. It's going to be in the next couple of minutes, 15 20 minutes. It's more about you talking, or you can ask me any questions on anything related to Terraform questions, why Terraform and all that. Uh, uh, Other than that, you next coming videos, I prefer you guys to keep yourself muted so that the recording would be more appropriate and all that. So any questions of it can be posted in the chat section. But in this coming going further for the next 15 minutes, you can actually prefer to unmute yourself, and you can ask me any questions you wanted. Anything related to Terraform, market packages, whatever it is, your questions, whatever it is related to Terraform only. I said Terraform only, I meant to say in the purview of Azure. Is it preferable to learn Azure DevOps? Is it like I have one of the question like interesting like what is the best one to prefer learn first initially? Is it Terraform or is it Azure DevOps? I know what is Azure. So when we talk like that, there are things which I can give my point of view and all that. Yeah, go ahead. Any
So,
you're gonna
yeah,
ask?
bro, actually, I have a question. Yeah. So, you have given us the YouTube link, right? So, is it mandatory to go and look into that video before the class starts?
No, that's more that's
Oh,
an advanced one, and
okay.
I just brought that scenario because that is something when you really wanted to learn some production scenarios, I would want you to go and watch that scenario as the first scenario to be played with. And why am I not bringing that scenario here is because I don't want to talk about a free content here in the class. But to cover some topics on that, I have brought some so more on because every organization talks like when interview, did you work on Terraform modules? I'll give some scenario on that because already you have I showed that YouTube link which is talking like that is like 6 hours, 6 sessions or 7 sessions, I guess. uh, you really go with our session point of view. So it's like you can go and cover it in YouTube for free of cost, right? And it is in my channel. So you can go and it is any questions you have, you can post it and all that. I will try to cover other rest of the scenarios. Like if you say Terraform on ARM templates, Terraform workspace, Terraform cloud, Terraform Azure DevOps, Terraform modules and all that.
Okay.
Any other question, guys? You can also post to me your question if you are not comfortable actually to talk. You can post your question to me privately from the chat section, and I will see that and I will actually address that question too. Questions. Okay, let me go with the frequently. Why Terraform? What makes Terraform so? Why Terraform is used so is so demandable in market? So I'll say why Terraform is so demandable in the market. Is the reason one of the reason is you will have not one subscription right in your organization. You will have the reality would be someone paying you some 1 lakh rupees or someone paying you 1.1 lakh dollars. There is a reason why they are kind of able to pay and not worry about it too much. That means they make that much huge business. So if they're really making that kind of huge business, what is their imagine their rental payment in for Azure for the usage of what you can see. So I'll end up seeing probably 4 subscriptions and resources consumed there is generating a lot of business for them. Probably the application, a lot of customers are coming in, and so because of that, things are there. So my point is each subscription will end up having some couple of different resources. So when I say 100,000 resources, it's not like 1,000 VMs, might be 500 VMs or 400, 300 VMs, and the rest of the different other resource types and all that. So at least each subscription should have 1,000 resources playing in different subscriptions and all different regions and all that. And because of this, if I wanted to control the deployment and of any new things, I should have monitoring team to in place to check whether all these resources which are deployed are properly following security norms, my organization standards. Is there any downtime which is incurring and all that? So it's very tough to manage in configuration level what is it I wanted, is it there or not? What is it I wanted, is it there or not? What does it mean from that? I wanted a virtual machine without public IP. Okay, I created some 300 machines using Terraform with normally in Portal or PowerShell or .NET SDK or anything. And I created a machines without public IP. But do you think in Portal, if whoever, like I have given access to 50 users, do you think I have a control that no user can't attach a public IP to the VM? I don't have much of the control, but I can use some services like Azure policies to restrict users or some things. But how can I detect if there is a con drift? So the one of the main things which you can talk is configuration drift. This is one of the main reasons why Terraform is is so demandable in the market. What is that word? It's like change in the infrastructure configuration. To manage that, understand what is the configuration drift in terms of thousand resources by one individual sitting for just within some 5 minutes or 10 minutes. If you wanted to figure out what is the drift, it's very easy with Terraform. And that is why organizations want every resource which is being deployed in the subscriptions or in any cloud environment should be coming from Terraform itself. So the Terraform can tell me if there is any change in the infrastructure. It can directly point me, bro, there is a change in your virtual machine. We deployed, we wanted to have a no public IP, but after deployment and after some 20-40 days, and we rechecking everything is good in shape or not every day, just by the Terraform some commands which you can see. So we can understand whether there is a drift or not, and this will help us go and check why there is a drift. We'll go into activity logs of Azure of any resource and check who changed it, and we'll do the post-mortem diagnostics way of operations which we see in a monitoring procedure, and debug and accordingly rectify it. And if it is an approved configuration change, then we will put it in Terraform code. So next time we will understand if there is another drift of it. So what is drift actually? It's this is simple, like we wanted our infrastructure to be in a single line, but if any sudden change, any change to it, we would like to come back to our original desired state. So that's why we say DSC. If you would have heard this word in the uh, market, desired state configuration. So desired state configuration is one of the things which you can achieve with Terraform, and that is what makes Terraform so demandable in the market. So organizations with a lower cost can manage things with a lesser interface. And another thing is Terraform is easier to learn and understand compared to other things. And they use HashiCorp language, but yes, it's still simple, relevant to YAML and uh, all. So another question which I can say is there a difference between Terraform and PowerShell? Because in market, people will ask, do you know PowerShell? Do you know Terraform? When you say Azure DevOps. So, is there a difference? Yes, there is a huge difference. PowerShell is used for management of the infrastructure uh, in terms of monitoring and all that. Prime PowerShell does that. Terraform does in terms of configuring, in terms of the deployment. After deployment, is it properly everything we as we expected and everything. So we call Terraform as an IAC, but not PowerShell as an IAC. PowerShell we term it as a scripting language, but PowerShell is more of sorry, Terraform we cover it as IAC, and PowerShell we cover it as scripting language. Is meant by scripting language here and all that. Let me say that I have some set of machines. I I wanted to go and check, does the machines have drive full or not, or does those specific drive does that those have a specific files or not. If those virtual machines doesn't have that specific file, I wanted to go and deploy that. That can be only done with PowerShell, not with Terraform. Okay. Now, similarly, we can write a code to maintain a desired state using PowerShell, but that's more difficult. Anything can be achieved. It's a scripting language. That's what is the point of an automation. But it's more difficult approach, and lot of management of PowerShell has to be done. Whereas with Terraform, with ease, you can get to know what will be the changes and what accordingly you have to do. Yes, that's where IAC becomes, and sometimes PowerShell doesn't behave idempotent, whereas Terraform behaves idempotent. So one of the word which we use it in the market is idempotent. What is idempotent? Suppose you run a code which you written a code which can deploy 100 machines. Now you ran that code and you deployed 100 machines in Azure. Now you try to run that script again, that Terraform configuration files we term it. You run it once again, you will not get an error saying that there is already 100 machines. It is going to say, oh, there are 100 machines, no change in your infrastructure. But whereas PowerShell commands sometimes end up right now they're trying to be made as an idempotent, right? Like you were trying to create a command to create resource group in PowerShell, it will not throw you an error. But previously, 2 years back, it used to throw an error, some commands. Right now, it is saying that yes, provisioning status or I'll retry provisioning of that specific resource. And we want that to happen. We don't want redeployment of a virtual machine. Why? I'm already running a workload in it. Okay, what is workload? So let's assume that a database, some application. When I try to redeploy it, I lose the entire data which is running in that. So why would I prefer to go for a PowerShell or redeployment and all that? So that point of time, IAC is one of the things. And yes, we have at this point of time for IAC, I can see the best one to achieve idempotent is this Terraform, so I can keep Terraform. So do we have other IAC stuff? What is IAC first of all? Infrastructure as code. What is infrastructure as code? Whatever infrastructure you wanted to deploy, you're keeping it as code and you just run it and the infrastructure will be deployed instead of doing it manually or some scripting languages and all that. And do we have, so every cloud will have their own native IACs. So you, for your AWS, you have cloud formations, you have for Azure, ARM templates. So you have the style to deploy their own styles. Every cloud will have their own styles to deploy that infrastructure at ease. But yes, some clouds. So there are not just, if you know how many public clouds are there, just not AWS, GCP, Azure. There is Oracle, there is Alibaba, there is DigitalOcean. There are a lot of uh, clouds in the market, and some will, instead of creating their own code, they prefer Terraform to go and do things. So interact they this makes Terraform so integration and everything made to some clouds so powerful they can provision services in cloud. Okay, so I think I addressed the difference between Terraform and AC and PowerShell. Which is more better? Which is more better, whether Terraform IAC or not? Can't compare. Everything has its own use case because the application both are not same, right? They both have different purposes. The Terraform has its own limitations, PowerShell has its own limitations, and because of it, it makes based on the purpose and utilization of for your scenario or to achieve some things. That specific tools make things more powerful at the point of time. What you will get paid more. As of now, uh, I could say Terraform. Why? Because we were shifting to IAC code and they want immediate engineers who can do maintain it, and PowerShell has been there. What is there is right now they are not asking you to automate it. PowerShell, using PowerShell, if you automate it, it makes the job easier. That's it. So they're preferring to make users to get habituated to PowerShell and design it, but I don't see that they are uh, they are preferring in terms of a well-established organization who is already done with Terraform, IAC, and all that. They wanted you immediately their people to go with PowerShell and develop things to automate it so that they can fire the people. Not fire the people, I meant save the job man hours. There's a day-to-day activities which you do and you can automate it using PowerShell. And if they do that, so that they can utilize the resources to a better works in and better efficiency of it. What makes automation is so powerful? What a human can do probably can be done within a minimal amount of hours. So because of that, so it's based on situation. So if you're going with an organization who is actually working on operations front, PowerShell is so demandable and you get paid higher on that. But if you're going for a organization whose major concern is to managing that huge monitoring team, is they can focus on some primarily really on monitoring some stuff, because I wanted to know whether there's a spike in the traffic. I wanted to know whether there is a DDoS attack. I wanted to know is so when there are different teams, stock teams and all that involved, I wanted to make their jobs easier, not jobs easier, but more focused on the rare core functionalities. Then organizations are similarly shifting to Terraform. So both have its own, it's based on the organization and the projects which you go. But I've seeing right now, people are getting paid in higher in Terraform. PowerShell has been there long, and yes, but it is difficult for in market. It is difficult to get PowerShell guys. Reason why is developers can't be a PowerShell guys, because if they do it, they have to do PowerShell on Azure, and that is because they have to learn Azure, and they while they're learning all these things, they'll forget their code, so they don't prefer these things. So this makes operation guys, whoever from the testing background, whoever from the deployment background, whoever from monitoring background, learning Terraform or PowerShell may have their edge in the market, because they at this point of time there are no replacements of skill talent for this one. Even this softwares are monopoly in terms of their own. Like PowerShell behaves very well with Windows. Windows का मतलब Microsoft. So the Microsoft is hosting the Azure and Azure DevOps and all this. PowerShell just makes things more easier and all that. Any other questions you guys have? So based on my questions, if you can come up with any of the questions, I can answer that, or otherwise we are done for today. So I addressed how you can take back the course, what will be the courses, what will be covered in it, and so suggestions which you guys have to take is you have to commit time for practicing it. Okay, initially, how did I learn? Can you share your experience of learning Terraform? I learned Terraform within 6 days, I guess. Yeah, 6 days. I learned Terraform. So what made things faster? First 2 days took me 6, 7 hours. And how did you try learning that 6, 7 hours? Is it you love studying? No, no. I think I'm the laziest guy. But what makes me do is I have some styles to practice and all that. So one of the style which I practiced for going into this Terraform is I literally written the code in Notepad in my not here in computer, but in with my pen and notebook. So if that is like 200 300 lines, I literally tried going, and sometimes I literally started understanding from it, but I only used to get someone explains on it in YouTube, so only to a level they can explain, right? Because of 5 minutes they have to keep that video so that more viewers can come in and check that. So because of all the situations, it was initially tough to understand for me. So that point of time I started how much ever I could actually understand, I tried to understand. The rest was mugged up and tried putting that in the notebook. And the struggle was there, initial 6 hours of practice and all that, but made me understand the coding things. Suppose there are some syntax there you have to write it, and you'll just lose that one. So though you when you write it in notepad and everything, it literally makes you remember or hard feed that this is how you have to write it and all that and how it behaves. So from there I started learning the concepts. It's a bit easier to learn faster, but I was already there in that YAML point of view, because I was writing Kubernetes config YAMLs, and I was writing PowerShell, I was writing CLI, I was writing .NET and Python. So things were easier for me while I was trying to read and understand. But yes, practice, I know understood the practice also. The most I focus in practicing. You can use your practice using ChatGPT also, but don't rely on ChatGPT for Terraform code because that is very bad at this point of time. You can ask for scenarios in Terraform. It will give you a basic scenarios itself, but if you want it in terms of Terraform projects and all that, it's still not. You can't find too many good things. You would be finding a smaller ones. So I would say like Terraform practice scenarios. Yeah, you're getting some stuff. So I'll say practice scenarios on Azure. Okay. So you would definitely get some stuff, but I feel believe that is like smaller one. How do you set up? You're creating a load balancer. What is the point of creating a load balancer? Achieving the purpose of a load balancer is what? How can you achieve a purpose of a load balancer? Purpose is to balance the load between set of things. So what set of machines and how would be an internal one, public one, and just not internal public one, but what all configurations in production which we can see and how can we write that in. So we'll see in a broader way and all that. Yes. Did you try use resolving some any issues using Terraform Chat GPT? No, it did a bad job there because I have some bigger questions in. I get blocked in some bigger things. I didn't find a solution through Chat GPT. So it is just to make some basier content, find some. If you don't know where to start off, it just like be a lending hand as a friend to guide you to a bit of level. But if you go with really deep dive scenarios or a specific scenario, it can't really help you there. It will give an answer saying that I'm making you believe that it is right, but it is not. It most of the time ended up for me from my experience for that specific scenarios where I encountered. Not most of the times. Yeah, 10, 9, 10 or 10 times. Yeah, 10 out of 10 times it went wrong. I go for the major, bigger issues and it was not doing a good job there. The base it was formed. So when I showed ChatGPT, I was being very cautious too. Because don't try to open for resolving one because it will come up saying this is the answer and that is not the answer. And the base assumption there itself is not, it will go wrong. And if you try to go and do diagnosis on that, like I'll try to improvise the code based on my scenario, the assumption which it brought itself is wrong. So you taking that as a base and you try to build anything is will be entirely wrong. So so why does it do? I don't want to get into mechanics right now at this point of time, how the machine algorithms, learning model algorithms are working for that. But yeah, be cautious while you're trying to utilize that. Any other questions? Okay. If there are no questions, you can actually drop. If you have any questions, you can stay behind, stay in the call. I'll address that. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.